What's up guys, it's Lady Calysta. Today we're going to be talking about Champion Strike. Now this video is sponsored by the developer, so a great big thank you to them. Now Champion Strike is actually a real-time PvP strategy game. And what sets it apart from other games in its genre is the fact that it also allows you to control a hero or a champion, where in addition to being able to control magic and different units and different structures that you can create through cards, you can also move around your champion, and you can decide to move your champion forwards, backwards, play offensively or defensively, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. And as I mentioned, it is card based, and you just saw me bring up my deck. Now I really love the global launcher. It allows you to see kind of how it's searching the globe for your enemy. So I'm going to be playing against someone from the Philippines, so for any of my Tagalog speakers, you know, shout out to you guys. Now what you're seeing on the screen, I would ask you to pay attention to the bottom of your screen, and you can see I have two towers. I'm in blue, the kind of red-headed fairy named Ariel, and on the other side in red, he has two towers, and his hero is called Leon. And those are the two heroes that in the beginning of the game you're able to select from. And you can see, in addition to being able to control the different units on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, as soon as I have enough mana, I can actually go ahead and put down the card, assuming I have enough mana. Now, a good rule of thumb is, and I was learning this as I went, was like, as soon as you have 3 mana, don't put down your 3 card, right? Like, wait and figure out exactly what you want to do, because it is strategy based, and be very, very careful taking care of your hero. You can see here, I already brought down his tower, and I killed his hero. Now, heroes do respawn. They don't die and stay dead, which is great, but it does give you a point when you kill the hero. So you can see on the top of the screen, I have 2 points, he has 0 points. So at this point, I just need to kill his tower to be able to finish the game. So that's why the hero is so super important, because it almost counts like a tower. It's great that it respawns, that he or she respawns, but you're still giving a point to the enemy if you let them kill your hero. So you have to be very careful and not overextend, and that is something that I always struggle with. You want to make sure that you're playing very defensively if your HP is getting low, and then likewise, if you see their hero is getting low in HP, that's a really perfect time to try to get and cap a point, because it can be very difficult to bring down a tower. Now what I'm doing here is I'm opening up a couple of the chests. You can get chests in a variety of different ways, doing missions, winning games, and the chests are great because they give you cards, and with these cards you're able to upgrade the cards that you already have. And you are also need to have gold, but you get gold as you kind of play along, and you can see there I'm kind of grabbing the cards and leveling them up. The reason leveling up is so important is it increases the damage or attack that unit does, in addition to giving it additional health. So in general, it just makes it a lot stronger. So this is another match where I wanted to show you kind of the intricacies of kind of playing with your hero. So a couple of things that I also wanted to mention was, as you're kind of dropping down units, you can see there's a red guy kind of running all scary like. As your champion, you're able to attack the other champion. You're also able to attack the enemy champion's tower, and you're able to attack anything that the enemy puts down on the board. So if they decide to put down some sort of cannon, or they send an enemy to kind of come barraging through, you're going to be able to attack them. But again, you have to try to play as defensively as possible, close to your tower where you can, just because your tower is going to also attack and be able to protect you. Now, a thing to mention, just as a general rule of thumb, is you have to be mindful of the order that you're placing your cards in. This is very much a counter-based game, so you want to make sure that you're leading with your more tank-like characters that have more health, and then some of your kind of squishier characters that might be a little bit weaker, less health, but maybe do a lot of damage. Think something like archers. You're going to put them way in the back. Now, each of those characters moves at a different rate, right? So you're able to basically put down anywhere on your side of the board where those characters are going to spawn. So for example, if you do have enough mana to put down a set of archers, and you know they tend to move very quickly, you absolutely need to make sure that when you're able to put up your tank, you're putting your tank and you're placing your tank in front of them. So even though your tank moves slower, hopefully the archers will remain behind him and he's able to take the majority of the damage. You want to make sure you have your ranged damage dealers in the back, your tanks in the front, and then kind of your mid-range warriors in the middle. In addition to that, there are counters in this game, and you can see here we're in sudden death, which is kind of cool. So basically the first person to get a point wins the game. So this is where you're going all in, right? And this is where strategically you need to make a decision. Am I going to go for the hero? Am I going to go for the tower? And then from your perspective, you have to be very, very careful with your champion to make sure that your champion doesn't die, right? Because this is something where, you know, sudden death, all of a sudden everybody's going all in. You don't want to let your champion die, and it is so, so easy to do that. You keep seeing me kind of moving up, moving down. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I do the maximum amount of damage and what kind of magic? So right there I have a fireball, shot the fireball, was able to bring down the tower, and that basically completed the battle. Now if I had overextended and taken a lot of damage and died, that would have ended the battle as well. Another thing to mention is each of these cards does have a counter. So for example, there are going to be specific cards that are really good against aerial enemies or ground enemies. Now what I'm showing you guys here are the heroes. So I mentioned Ariel, that's the hero that I was. The enemy for the most part has been playing Leon, and you can see a lot of our stats are very similar. The difference from my perspective that I felt was really obvious was the range. Now there is also another hero called Hecton, and you cannot get him until you get 1500 trophies. The way to get trophies is to basically grind and get enough wins from a battle perspective. So I was at the point right now where I was like at 1488, and each match will give you, I would say, 20 to 25 trophies approximately. So I knew that if I was able to win this was kind of like my Hecton match. So I was really excited because I wanted to be able to unlock him. I did look at some of his stats, and his stats are almost in the middle of Leon and Ariel. So where Ariel is very good at range, Leon is really good up close, Hecton is very good in the middle. So he's kind of like your mid-range fighter, right? So that's something to keep in mind. This match for me was really, I don't know what to call it. It was kind of stressful because I really wanted to win. And you can see that big character that's kind of lumbering across the enemy side. That's my tank, right? He's the guy, and when you look at his card, he only attacks buildings. So he's the guy you want to send up front. You want to make sure that behind him you have a ton of damage dealers to kind of keep him up, because your goal is to get him to that tower so that he can knock it down. Depending on the character or the unit that you are placing on the board, they are going to have different targets. So you can see there I placed the unit right in the middle. He's kind of like a ninja, and he immediately goes for the hero. And he's great because when you're trying to distract the other side, the enemy, having a unit that literally will jump that little thing of water, that little river of water, over to his side to try to attack him is great, because he's immediately going to start pulling back. He's probably not looking at how much mana he has or what he should be putting down on the board. So I love that unit. I think it's a great card because it is very disruptive. It's kind of a disruptive card. They also have energy, or kind of like magic, that you can use in the game, especially when you have large hordes of enemies. So if you have something that's almost like a flurry of a lot of small enemies, they can actually do a lot of damage to some of the slower ground type units that you'll have on your side. So with some of the magical elements, you are able to kind of clear those quickly. But it does have a lot of, I would say, different kind of counters. So you have to keep that kind of strategic eye and make sure you're keeping track of the health of your towers, the health of your champion. You're not overextending. Like when you are running low, pull back, because you don't want to be the one that's getting targeted, especially if you don't have enough characters on the board. Here you can see we completed the battle. I barely, scratched the win out there, but it was really exciting because I was able to unlock Hecton, which I was really pumped about. Now this game is available on iOS, also on Android. It is a total blast, very different. I really love the champion perspective because I think it added an extra flavor to this, and it's really fun to see kind of like what the enemy is doing in response to your actions and movements. It's a very kind of direct one-for-one correlation. So let me know if you guys have any questions down below, and as usual, thank you so much for watching.